I think sustainability is probably the word that we probably don't bandy around enough. We need sustainability from a funding perspective, whether it's funding the actual participants, but whether it's funding for people to invest into SDA as well.
Certainty.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I think there's a lot of short-sightedness from the NDIA as well around some of these ratios, because as you said, a lot of people who are robust need single resident dwelling, and that's the whole point behind them, and the evidence of them needing robust is generally around that. But when the NDIA aren't going to fund that, then you have other people who are far more independent that don't want to live with 2 or 3 people, who are then being over-serviced because they're getting 24/7, 1 to 3, but they only need drop-in supports. But because they then can't get a house to themselves and be funded properly that way, we're overfunding then from the SIL perspective, which, doesn't happen often. But I think there's just so much misalignment, and, the sustainability of the scheme needs to look at where housing can actually provide people what they need, whether it's with technology and the actual layout of a property, to need less supports, which is the whole point, is, for people to have that almost step down model of needing less supports, because they're building their scaffolding while having more supports. But I think that there's such a short-sightedness of trying to just cut funding, that they're not realising that putting more funding in at the start actually means someone will build those scaffolds and be able to live more sustainably and more independently with less funding when they've actually had the right supports in place to do that.